Hi there, I'm Emily from the Harvard Garden Project, and I'm here today to show you how to make a delicious dish called moussaka. I decided to make moussaka for this cooking demonstration because it utilizes a lot of ingredients found right in the garden outside. For example, these onions were just picked a few minutes ago, as were these tomatoes, both Viva Italian and Brandywine, and these lovely Orient Express eggplants. One of the most important steps in making moussaka is salting your eggplant. This step removes a lot of the moisture from the dish so you don't end up with a sloppy mess in the end. It would be a pity to do that after all the hard work that's going to go into this. One of the steps that you can do while or just after you're salting the eggplant is boiling the potatoes. These are going to go on one of the layers of the casserole by themselves, and to do that you have to boil them ahead of time so they're not chewy.
Alright, well, now we've got the onions all chopped up in the pan on high heat with a generous amount of olive oil, and we're just going to cook them until they are nice and clear and sweet smelling. It's going to be great.
At this point, the onions have cooked almost perfectly, so we're going to go ahead and add the lamb. You want to add about a pound, maybe a little bit more here. It never hurts to be generous. So I took the potatoes off the stove a while ago, and now they're pretty much cool enough to touch. So what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to slice them into thin slices, which are going to be suitable for using as a layer later on when we're constructing the casserole.
Lamb is a very fatty meat, so this is what tends to happen when you cook it. See all that oil just kind of bubbling away? You don't want to have that in your end sauce, so what you want to do is when it gets to this stage where the lamb is pretty much cooked and you'd like to add the tomatoes, you just drain it off into a colander that's over some sort of container like a coffee can that you can later throw away. You don't want the grease to go down your sink, obviously, but this absolutely needs to be drained or else the sauce will just taste really fatty. So I'm going to do that. Now I've just drained off the fat, and as you can see, it looks much better now. Don't have any of that nasty grease lying around. So now it's ready for the tomatoes and spices to go. And in this bowl, I've put all of the spices we're going to need. This is 2 cups of chopped plum tomatoes, about 2 teaspoons of diced garlic, a bay leaf, 2 cloves, and some cinnamon and allspice. So that's just going to go in like so. And then we're going to top this up with half a cup of water and just let it stew and simmer and reduce for about half an hour until it's really thick and just looks like a good sauce.
Now that all of the eggplant has been washed and it's frying up, that'll take several iterations of a full frying pan because there's a lot of eggplant. We're going to start the bechamel sauce. Here we have 5 tablespoons of butter, that's a little less than a stick, melted up in this pan. We're going to turn the heat down a little, and we are going to add 5 tablespoons of flour. 1, 2, 3, this is not an exact science, 4, and the last one was scanty, so that'll be heaping 5. Now what we have to do is whisk constantly while this all gets combined together and hope that it doesn't turn too brown and burn, because then you have to start all over again. It's not worth trying to save this. At this point, the cheese sauce is thick enough that I'm going to remove it from the heat and add the egg yolks. Now you do this not by just directly adding the egg yolks to the mix, but by adding a little bit of the cheese sauce to the eggs, just a little bit. Then stirring that into the eggs
until it's all nicely combined. See right there? Doesn't look terribly pretty, but it's something. It's good for the sauce. And then once that is all nicely combined, you add that back to the sauce, scraping to get all of it, and then you whisk it all together. I've just added some Parmesan cheese, freshly grated, and now we're going to return this to the heat and stir it until it's all combined. Then the sauce will be done, and we'll just have to keep it warm so it stays spreadable until we add it to the top of the moussaka. Now that we've got our eggplant layer over the breadcrumbs, we're going to add all of the meat sauce. Now that we've added that gorgeous lamb sauce, we're going to add a layer of those potato slices that we made earlier right over that to cover. So that's our potato layer. Now we're going to add all of the remaining eggplant onto one final layer before the cheese sauce goes on. And that's our eggplant layer. Now it's time to do the trickiest thing of all, adding that last layer of cream sauce. This is the finished product, pre-baking of course. Now all we have to do is put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 45 minutes until it's completely and totally done and the sauce is golden and bubbling. And here we are, 45 minutes later with the completed finished product. Gorgeous, isn't it? It's just fantastic looking. It got perfectly done.